Thank you, Robin. That was lovely. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to PUC, Pacific Unitarian, something that starts with a C. You warming up to anything? Club? Okay, all right. I'm Tracy Blender. I'm your worship associate today. As you can tell, Pastor Joshua is out and about. We have our guest speaker today, our own Greg Garcia. We have Robin Patterson on the piano. I think we'll make it work, don't you? So welcome today, this beautiful morning when we get to all be together in this wonderful, wonderful place that we have created together. This place is made of those who came before us, those who continue to put in their time, talent, those who show up and join in community with each other. We are lucky that we have this legacy that we will pass on. It's a place where we learn more about being human. We go upon our journeys, and sometimes we share our journeys with other people here who can walk along with us or help us kind of understand where the next part of that road may lead. Sometimes we think we've got it right. Sometimes we're not sure. Sometimes it just really doesn't matter. So here we have religious education for children. We have a moment for all ages by Haven Perez. We have a wonderful lunch being prepared for us, for which it's a suggested donation of $5. If you want to give more, please don't let us stop you. If you don't happen to have $5 a day, please make sure you eat. All are welcome here. I have a few announcements for you today. One is that Jackie Geist, is Jackie Geist in the room? Hi, Jackie. She raised her hand over there in the powder blue. She'll be hosting an LGBTQ plus allies happy hour. I heard happy hour. No. LGBTQ plus allies happy hour on Thursday, July 24th, and that's between 5 and 7. Thursday, July 24th, in the Meditation Garden, it will be a time for renewal and sharing ideas about finding joy as resistance. And as we've mentioned before, there's the QR code on your order of service, and you can look at the newsletter for that, and you can also make your pledge during that. Do a lot of things using the QR code. Also, for those attending Chris Mills' meditation at 6 p.m., feel free to join the happy hour at 5 on July 24th, and then go to the meditation. Also, July 27th, July's a busy month, California Interfaith Power and Light Resource Table will be on the patio. You might want to stop by that, see what that's about, and pick up some materials, talk with them. Interfaith work is powerful work. Also, our own Pastor Joshua is hosting an evening honoring John Lewis. John Lewis passed in 2020. He was a congressman. He was an advocate for nonviolent action, a key figure in the civil rights movement. Pastor Joshua will be the host and speaker at this event. And that's this upcoming Thursday, July 17th. It's at the Torrance City Hall. It's from 7 to 9 p.m., and that too is in our newsletter. And with that, we will light our chalice. We begin that part of the service that we know that all you churches light this light to unite us together and to know that while we look around this room and we look at all those we know, there is a large community out there to support us and who we can lean on and depend on, lighting this chalice as we are today. And now, our opening words.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Ooh, that's hot mic. Opening words today come from one of my favorite books. It's The Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, and with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions. Yes, you can, if you do everything as if it were your last thing you were doing in your life. And stop being aimless. Stop letting your emotions override your mind and what it tells you, and stop being hypocritical and self-centered and irritable. You see how few things you have to do to live a satisfying and reverent life? If you can manage this, then not even the gods can ask more of you. And now we're going to start with our opening hymn today, 1052, The Oneness of Everything. Please rise in body and spirit as you are willing and able.
Far beyond the grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind. There find the key to nature's harmony, in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns grace the sky, and carry all who join in love expanding, the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings. For the oneness of everything. Peace is in the dance of trees, who stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the song becoming one with dance, in a mysteries that can be believed. Songs of lives long past the touch, our own are written in the earth, ever giving, and now to maintain the harmony gives to us all lives worth living, for the oneness of everything. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce the terms defined. Vast and immeasurable time and space, also overwhelmingly designed. Oh, passing years just might I know the faith that winters in the heart to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul as a song to sing of the oneness of everything.
Thank you so much, Shayna. I've not heard that song before, but incredible lyrics. Wow. That really lifted my spirits. That was just beautiful. Now we have the moment for all ages with Dr. Haven Perez and our children. Good morning, Haven. Good morning, everybody. Hello, siblings.
The whole gang is here. Today is going to be kind of special. The theme for today is Atheism and Virtue. So I looked for a children's book about atheism. I couldn't find one in English. So one of the fathers for the church, Soren Geis, has a book for children from Germany, and he will be reading that book.
In English. No worries.
I got it, no problem.
The little piglet who wanted to find God. Little piglet and little hedgehog were having a bath, as they liked to do whenever it was sunny or whenever it rained.
Isn't our life great?
Piglet exclaimed. I could just embrace the whole world, Hedgehog agreed, stretching his arms out.
Great idea, but let's pick some apples first. I'm really hungry.
Stepping outside, they noticed a big poster on their wall. Next slide, please. Saying, those who don't know God are lacking something. Piglet, I don't know God, do you? Hedgehog asked.
Nope.
This shook both of them. They hadn't even known their life was lacking anything, so they set off looking for this God. Next slide. They asked every animal they met about God, but none of their friends had ever heard of a God. Only Smart Fox had an answer. I heard humans argue about that God. They built him some big houses up on the hill and disagreed which one Mr. God actually lives in. Curiously, Piglet and Hedgehog climbed up the hill. Next slide. On top, they encountered 3 huge buildings. This Mr. God must be ginormous if he needs such big houses. Maybe we should just return home?
Nonsense! We've climbed all the way up. Might as well find out.
Piglet replied extra loud to hide her own fear. Next slide. In front of the first big house stood a man in a black suit and a black hat on top of long curly hair.
Excuse me, where can we find God?
This is the Lord's temple, a Jewish synagogue, said the man who was a rabbi. Oh, great. Is he home? Can we meet him? Only if you have a Jewish mother, replied the rabbi. My mom's a hedgehog,
And mine is a sow.
said our little friends. Only Jews are allowed in the temple for our ceremony, and little piglets can never enter, said the rabbi.
That's not very nice. Oh, that's not very nice.
Our almighty God Yahweh isn't nice. Next slide. He's all-knowing and all-gracious and can get quite angry if his rules aren't followed. Once he got so angry, he decided to drown all life on Earth in a big flood.
All life? All babies, grannies, and animals?
Yes, except for one couple of every species, which were put on a boat. Then God made it rain many days until everyone else had drowned. Next slide, please. But what had they all done to deserve being drowned? Little Hedgehog asked fearfully. They had prayed to other gods, the rabbi said. there's other gods, Hedgehog blurted out. No, said the rabbi. People only imagine them. These gods don't exist. That got Piglet thinking, and she asked,
If people can imagine gods, how do we know yours isn't imagined too?
The rabbi didn't like that question at all and became angry, so our little friends quickly ran away. Next slide, thank you. At once, they found themselves at the second big house. Out front stood another man in a purple cap and a long gown. Again, Piglet asked,
Excuse me, where can we find God?
This is God's house, a Christian church. Here we gather in His name, and He is among us, said the man who was a priest and invited them in.
Now, where is this Mr. God?
The priest pointed to a frightening sculpture of a man nailed to a cross, a crown of thorns on his head, and blood all over his body. This must really hurt, thought Hedgehog. God sent His Son Jesus to die for our sins and wash away our guilt with His blood. The priest said. Piglet had trouble understanding what he was saying because they hadn't picked apples yet, and she suddenly felt hungry again. Next slide. That's when she saw a pile of cookies on the table in front of the bloody sculpture. She grabbed a handful and started munching away. Can we have the next slide? What are you doing? Cried the priest furiously.
Eating cookies. I'm hungry.
But these aren't just cookies. It's the body of Christ, the flesh of Jesus who died for us. The priest kept yelling while pointing at the bloody sculpture. Piglet got queasy, spat out the strange cookies, and dragged Hedgehog away, whispering,
If they eat Mr. God's son, who knows what they'll do to us? Let's get out of here.
Our little friends felt like going home, but to do so, they had to go past the third big house anyway. Next slide. Out front stood a man in a long shirt that went all the way down to his ankles and with a cloth wrapped around his head. A bit like the one Granny always wears, thought Hedgehog. Again, Piglet asked,
Excuse me, where can we find God?
In this here mosque you may encounter Allah the Lord, said the man who was an Islamic religious teacher called an Imam. To get to know our God Allah, you must become Muslims and pray 5 times a day after washing yourselves thoroughly. 5 times? Asked Hedgehog and started counting. But that's washing 35 times a week and 150 times a month? No way am I doing that. Then you can't become a Muslim. Oh hell, then I won't, said Hedgehog with a shrug. Whatever, replied the Imam, his voice now booming. If you don't become a Muslim, you will burn in hell forever. Just because I haven't washed often enough? Because you haven't obeyed the rules Allah gave to our Prophet Muhammad.
But how do you know Muhammad was really a prophet and he didn't just make all of it up to have a little bit of fun?
Now they had really hurt the Imam's feelings. You dirty non-believers, he screamed and charged at our friends who fled the mosque as fast as they could. Outside, the rabbi and the priest already waited for them. Get them! They've dared to question God's existence, cried the rabbi. Oh, sorry, next slide. And the next. I forgot. Yeah, the one. Yeah, this is good. Sorry. Get them! They've dared to question God's existence, cried the rabbi. They've done even worse. They defiled the body of Christ, roared the priest. Worse still, they insulted the prophet, yelled the Imam who had run after them. While the 3 men of faith got into a heated argument over which was the worst sin, Piglet and Hedgehog quietly escaped. Next slide. Back home, Hedgehog said, I think I know what we were missing when we didn't know about this God. We had no fear of being punished.
You're right. We'll be just fine without being afraid of any God and his anger.
They tore down their poster, next slide, made paper planes from it, and just went back to enjoying their life. Without God, or fear of being punished for not following funny rules, which are most likely totally made up. The end.
for all that remains unspoken.
Thank you very much. And please join us now for a moment of meditation and prayer. So, as you're comfortable, you can feel free to shut your eyes or lower your gaze and feel the chair beneath you and settle in. And open your mind to this building and these people. And open a little further to this campus and these trees. And a little further to this peninsula. And feel the oneness with Mother Earth. It's the ocean that's in our veins, and the salt that's in our tears, and the soil that makes up our bones and bodies and eyes and minds. And we're one with it forever. 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 And now we'll have the poem for the day.
Today's poem is reading number 730, Make Not a Bond of Love by Khalil Gibran. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of life can contain your heart, and stand together, yet not too near together. For the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love.
Thank you, John Townsend. And now Greg will share his reflection, Atheism and Virtue.
Good morning again, people. Thanks again for having me back this summer. I love doing this every year. Thank you. And so, this year I wanted to talk about atheism and virtue, and how I think they really travel hand in hand. And just wanted to let you know I'm quoting directly from a lot of these ideas are taken from some of the greatest philosophers and scientists and comedians from today, from yesteryear. I'm not going to quote them directly, but from the likes of like Matt Dillahunty, Christopher Hitchens, Penn Jillette, David Hume, Aaron Ross, Sam Harris, Ricky Gervais, others. Now, these are people of rationality and virtue, and I think they're really helping to guide humanity towards a new and improved future. One without antiquated superstitions, unfounded fears, ubiquitous earthly powers granted by, celestial dictatorships. So, now atheism means only one thing: not believing in gods. It bears no burden of proof. No burden of proof. Atheism is not anti-theism, little different, and that's where one sets about to prove there are no gods. So I'm exclusively talking about atheism here. So the theist says God exists. The atheist says, I don't believe you. Prove it. So it's like a court of law. We're not really trying to get to innocence. You either have guilty or not guilty. Those are the verdicts. And it's entirely on the theist to prove the existence of God beyond the reasonable doubt. So the theist says God is guilty of existing. And the atheist will say, call your first witness. Where is he? Is there any evidence at all? Now, we all know from, especially Christian scriptures, but Muslim, Jew as well, God used to interact with the world all the time. Burning bushes, walking with humans, parting the seas, global floods, voices ringing down from the sky. So why all the silence since the scientific method began in earnest? Where is he? The theist may ask, this is one of my favorite questions, well, what will count as evidence? What will convince you? My answer is, I don't know. Since there's never been any evidence, how can I know what would convince me? Besides, if something happened, I could be delusional. I could be hallucinating or suffering from apophenia, which is seeing patterns that don't really exist, like Virgin Mary in a burnt piece of toast or a human face on, the surface of Mars, for example. But here's the thing. God surely knows what would convince us. The Almighty Creator of the universe, if he wanted to be known, he could easily have a press conference, clear up the entire issue, and there would never, ever be any issues ever again. Now, atheism itself, that's a really strange word. And it's perhaps a word that shouldn't even exist at all. After all, we don't have specific words for not believing in leprechauns, or fairies, or ghosts, or gnomes. Why a specific word for not believing in gods? Indeed, shouldn't atheism be the default? And only upon proving God's existence should a belief even be warranted at all. So if nobody was indoctrinated into God beliefs, and the concept was introduced after 25 years of secular education, how many people would really become true believers? Indeed, a very famous Catholic idea is that if you give us a child until they're 5, we're going to have their minds for the rest of their lives. Now, how many millions of reasonable, loving people have deconverted from religions imposed upon them in childhood, and still they struggle to shake off the shackles of their childhood fears? So atheism gets confused with agnosticism. So Gnosticism it has to do with knowledge, what you know. Theism has to do with belief. All arguments for God boil down to 3 points. There's only 3 real arguments for it. The first one, God is real. You got to prove it. Or number 2, God is useful. And number 3, atheism is just another religion. It's just fallible like all the rest of us. So all 3 points fail. Nobody can, or has yet at least, proved God is real. Therefore, everybody is agnostic. There is no other position to be. Nobody knows. Belief in God is a faith claim. It's not a knowledge claim. It's a belief. If it were a knowledge claim, then it would be worthy of a Nobel Prize and the greatest fact in the universe. It would be unfalsifiable. It wouldn't be a matter of faith. It would be a fact, whether we believed it or not. Now, some theists say that God is so useful, he makes me such a good person that he must be real. If your fears and your desire to please God make you a better person, and these are the only reason you're not committing crimes, please continue. Please continue. But realize this, it could all be in your head. It could be in your mind alone. And it does not prove that God is real because you don't commit crimes or you feel good about it. And it doesn't prove either that it inspires others to behave well. The fact is, prisons around the world are teeming with the faithful and have very few atheists. Most faithful societies around the globe have the highest crime rates, the most social ills, and conversely, the most atheistic, non-believing societies have the lowest crime rates and the lowest social ills. So it seems the main reason many people don't hurt others is the fear of spiritual retribution, eternity in the hot place. That's the reason they withhold themselves. And it really makes me wonder if the God belief inspires violence or contains it. Probably both. Now I have a bold confession for you all here. I rape and murder as much as I want to. And that number is 0. All right? If you have a positive integer there, you're probably the problem. All right? The argument for atheism, or the third argument here is that atheism is faith-based, and it's just another religion. But again, that idea fails immediately. First, it admits, number one, faith does not lead to truth. And second, that atheism is clearly just not a religion. It's the opposite of a religion. There are no creeds, there's no laws, it's just one belief. I don't believe in a God. And that's it. So atheism is a religion like not playing baseball is a sport. It's like not collecting stamps is a hobby. So, show of hands here. How many of you are devout fundamentalist Muslims? Anybody? We all know the Quran is real. And if we don't accept it, we are going to hell for eternity. We all know that, right? You know that. Allah could provide a reprieve and save us, plus countless billions of others, but he won't. How much sleep have you lost based on that idea? Just take a moment to feel your lack of worry about this. And then just realize this is how we feel toward Christianity and all the other religions as well, into which we were not indoctrinated or perhaps deconverted. So the main questions for me, it seems to be these. Where do we get our virtues? Where do we get morality? Is it universal? Is it given to us? Or do we create it ourselves? Do the words good and evil and right and wrong mean anything at all? Do we have free will? Are there laws that can never be broken and were passed down to us through religious texts? Now, we know science can tell us about the facts of life, but can it tell us about what we ought to value in life? To the atheist, it seems that virtue and morality evolved with us. We're great apes, and then it's modulated by various cultures. It is a natural law, imbued into all living things. So are we really supposed to believe that ancient Jews thought murder, rape, adultery, theft, they're all cool, until they got to the foot of Mount Sinai and were told, sorry, it's not kosher after all? No. The human race never would have made it that far if we thought that these vices or these things were okay. Human race has intrinsic virtue already. Even human babies and young children know what's intrinsically fair and not. Now, one of the ancient impulses we have is sexual jealousy. We want to be sure our mates are faithful to us and that these children are truly our own. Today, ancient impulses are enshrined in a marriage law. To the faithful among us, it's not evolutionary, but it's a recent dictation, just a couple of thousand years old. Cheating on your spouse is wrong because Yahweh says so, not because it's not really wrong. It's a dictation. However, in other moods, Yahweh, very fond of genocide, sexism, slavery, human sacrifice. Is that virtue? And what about billions of other people who don't follow Yahweh or were alive before his invention? Do we have free will to even break these religious given laws? Well, according to the Christians, yes, we do have free will because Yahweh gave it to us. Isn't that slightly missing the point? So approximately 5 million children under the age of 5 every year perish primarily due to preventable, treatable causes. It's a terrible statistic. And nearly all of their parents are religious, and they're fervently praying to God to save their children. Prayers will not be answered. So either God cannot help them or will not help them. If it's within our power, these children would be saved if we had the powers that were given or can be directed by the Almighty. So it's kind of strange when 27 workers escaped from a collapsed tunnel in Wilmington. On the radio, everyone says it was a miracle, only God could have done that. But when 5 million children die every year due to preventable ailments, oh, he's just mysterious. Mysterious for not taking action to save children. Meanwhile, the atheist is called uncouth or insulting to the theist for describing or even noticing these reprehensible double standards. So in the atheistic or scientific framework of virtue and morality are based on two specific ideas: consciousness and well-being. So just imagine a universe that's devoid of consciousness. It's all rocks. There's no judgment, there's no morality, no virtue, there are no minds to make these judgments. There must be conscious beings to have value judgments in the first place about themselves and others to constitute virtue. We are the ones to make the judgments on what constitutes well-being. So just imagine a universe where every living thing suffers as much as it can for as long as it can. We can call this bad. I mean, if the word bad means anything, that's what it means. The moral duty we have is to work to avoid and alleviate the worst possible outcomes for everybody, to rise above the worst. It is our virtue obligations to improve the life and the experiences of ourselves and others. Now, morality and virtue can be explained scientifically because conscious minds are natural and the methods of improving our experiences are based on neurology, biology, psychology, economics, sociology. We can navigate our daily experiences using scientific method to have improved outcomes. We don't need to rely on the dictations of deities and their spokesmen. In the atheistic and scientific virtue morality, it is based on the same groundings in other sciences, like medicine or physics. We jettison bias and reason objectively with the evidence that we have. Now, this shines a light on the wide gulf between reason and faith. We can speak objectively on subjective facts about lifetime conditions of conscious beings. We can speak objectively on what constitutes pleasure and pain and hunger or fullness. We can know what it would take to improve our lives and the lives of others. Now, here's the loaded question. This is what I hear all the time. Who are we to judge? Isn't that just our opinion? So the word judgment gets a really bad connotation these days, I find, especially by religious fundamentalists and people who don't want to be judged by others. Indeed, I was driving and I saw a huge sticker on the back of this pickup truck. This was a few years ago. Giant sticker read, "Only God can judge me." And I instantly thought, what about a judge? Or a jury? Try that defense in a courtroom when your prison sentence is being handed down. I think you'll still be remanded to the bailiff. Yeah. So, if there is no God, who are we not to judge? Isn't that part of our underlying virtues here in this church is justice? How can we judge what's right and wrong, or worse and inferior? Please do not relinquish your powers of observation and discernment. Use your best judgment. Is fullness better than hunger? Yeah, nearly always. Is health better than illness? Yeah, better almost always, right? Is high functioning better than schizophrenia? Yeah, nearly always. Is ecstasy better than agony? Yeah, nearly always. The scientific morality model has poles of suffering and flourishment. We know what constitutes pleasure and pain, satisfaction and dissatisfaction, health and illness. These are the spectrums, but the subjective values give a broad context to what most sentient beings would prefer or call higher or lower states of being. So we don't have to lie to ourselves or others about the prospects of achieving higher states of consciousness and happiness. One does not need to be faithful to achieve health and bliss and rapture and awe. We use faith when we don't have good reasons for positions. Nobody uses faith over facts. Faith is not a reliable method for truth. We can have faith about things that are both true or not true. But faith really gives the illusion and the boldness of certainty. The faithful today claim to be loving, peaceful, helpful, reasonable, and understanding. And almost all of them are, I think. But we forget at our peril the way they behaved and ruled when they had power. Positive human experiences are well within the scope of natural atheism. And because these experiences are had by people of all faiths and no faith, it proves that these are grounded in the human experience and are not sectarian. And given the medical and philosophical and moral holding back by powerful religious communities over the last hundreds upon hundreds of years, still continuing today, the sooner we move to an atheistic and scientific morality virtue model, the better. Thanks, everyone. And now for our offertory.
Thank you, Greg. All right. I'm going to lighten this up a little bit. Anybody here know Dimitri Martin? He's an interesting guy.
Love Dimitri.
Right?
Yeah, love it.
Love this guy. He says, based on its behavior, I don't think the cherry tomato wants to participate in the salad. However, your dollars, donations can participate in our offertory as the baskets come around. Oh my gosh. And now we have a musical interlude.
Short interlude.
That was just lovely. Thank you, Shayna. Thank you, Robin, for bringing us music today. And if you would join me in the affirmation of gratitude. We're grateful for all, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may experience the generosity of others. We are going to move on to the next parts of our service, but I do want to let you know that a fantastic meal is being prepared for us. It smells wonderful. It might not be ready when we're ready. So please feel free to enjoy each other's company until the food arrives. This is our extinguishing. Did you want to?
Thank you. So if you'd like to rise and take hands as you're willing and able. So this church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all of our differences, behind all of our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. And we pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts now and forevermore. So be it. Amen. Shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be.
And
Now our service truly begins. Please stay seated for a much anticipated postlude.
Vechi